In today's podcast, I want to talk about soul plates. I've written about this in one of my books. If you've read my book, you'll know about it, but if you haven't, I think you'll find it kind of fascinating. Spirit showed me how we are all sort of standing on a plate of our own. It's like our little area, our little territory. It's probably energetic, and that we actually go towards one another often on each other's plates. So if you think of it as having a big plate underneath us and being airborne, we can actually travel over to our friends and the plates will overlap for a while, and then when we disconnect, we travel off. These plates are our communication plates, and they're actually a soul plate. That's why telepathically we'll think about our friend and then they ring us up and we connect. It's the same principle. These plates are interesting in the sense that some people, more possibly the extroverts, have lots and lots of people connecting onto their plate, and they're very comfortable with that. They have a plate, and I think it's actually bigger than the introverts. That's my personal opinion. And lots of people are on their plate. They've got family and friends and colleagues and people who go to the gym. And so they have a huge amount of people that their soul plates keep connecting, all these different people. The other group might be more like an introverted person, or their world is smaller, and they only have a few people coming in and out on their plates. It doesn't matter which one it is, you'll be able to work out which one you are, and at different times in our life we can have more people on our plate and then less. For example, during COVID, with the lockdowns, people had less on their plate. Some people really struggled with this because they were used to having so many contacts, so many people sliding in and out on the plates. And then all of a sudden, it's like hardly anyone. You're locked in your house for months, especially here in Australia. So when you start to think about it, you'll be able to understand who you are and what you're comfortable with. It doesn't matter how many people come in and out on your plate, it's how comfortable you are with it. And it's actually a sign for you to understand that you might be the person who doesn't really want a lot of people on your plate all the time. Perhaps you're trying to bring up a young family, maybe you're working on a project, or maybe you just need some time out because you're worn out from people. You can change all the time. When we're sick, we'll often want to have less people on our plate, but when we feel well and vibrant, we want to have lots of people. Do not see it as a better or worse. It just is a situation that suits for different people. The other part of the soul plates which I found to be enlightening was that Spirit showed me that we can come in on someone's plate, be there for a while, and then we'll fly off again. And then we might not even connect for ages, but when we come back in again and fly off, it's exactly the same. And you know those relationships where you just pick up where you left off. Sometimes in life too, people will go off for a while and they're out of our sphere, off our plate, and we might not see them, and that's okay, because people are entitled to be with who they want to be with. It's their free will and their choice. So even though we might feel upset or rejected by it, I think we need to just let them go off on their plate and do whatever they want to do. Which brings me to the point that sometimes people can only do their personal growth or learn a lesson or realise what the relationship really is to them by being off your plate, by you not being in their life, because then they understand what that feels like. When you're connected all the time, you don't get that reality. The plates are there for us to use as we want to use them socially, but they're also telepathic. So we will just know that someone's coming in on our plate. We'll feel it, like I said at the beginning of the podcast. Other times we will keep getting the person's name. So even though they're not in our physical world, we know they're sitting on our plate somewhere because they keep popping into our minds. You can actually ask whether it's you connecting to them or them connecting to you. Often I can tell because I haven't been thinking about them and they just keep jumping in on the side of my head, and I know they're sitting energetically on my soul plate. You will have that also with people from the other side when you have a lot of thoughts about them, and they will also be on your soul plate, because being a soul, we don't need a body, so we can have energetic work in this life and then also on the other side. So your soul plate can be actually full of people in this world, but also people in the other world who may be connecting with you, saying hello, wishing you happy birthday for your birthday, even though they're not here. These plates are interchangeable too. during your life you will find you'll have times when you'll have many people on your plate, other times when you'll have very few people on the plate, and that's okay. It's part of your growth. If you're working at a high level with the spiritual world, you'll sometimes find that you'll only have a few people, especially when you're learning some new way to do something spiritually or doing a bigger lesson, and then once that's done, more people come in and onto your plate. It's a fascinating thing. When I learnt about it, I was really kind of rapt about it, because it was so interesting for me to understand that people slide in and out, and not to be judgmental about that, to allow the free will and their choices. If people love you, they'll often be coming in and out of your plates, and there will be people who I call the permanent soul plate people. They will always be in your life. Sometimes they're in your family, sometimes they're your friends, sometimes they're people at work. But these people will always be permanently attached onto your plate and be there. Others will come and go, some will go, but you're not to see that as in a bad way, because that time that you've had together was finished. Having said that, though, sometimes they will come back, and then the relationship goes to another level. Look around, write a list of your permanent ones, and then the ones who come in and out. Write a list of the ones who've left. Write a list of the ones from the other side, and you'll see it's actually quite big. The list is quite big. If you're a person who only needs a few people on your plate, be aware that if you have too many people on your plate, you will feel really overwhelmed and won't want to go home, so to speak. It'll be too much for you, and that's a sign that you need more time on your own, just on your own, around you. Maybe go for a walk, have longer showers, and stand in the shower while the kids are screaming outside, let me in. You will need that time, because you need less people around you. If you're a people person, you might find if you don't have enough people on your plate coming in and out, you start to feel awful. You need the social contact. You can get miserable and depressed and feel like nobody loves you, which is not the truth. But people are busy these days, so you need to be aware of that not everyone can be there all the time. When we lose one of the permanent plate people, when they die, it can be very difficult for us, because they were always there standing next to us on the plate. Although we have the understanding that they're on the other side and they can be there for us, we don't have the physicality of being able to have a coffee with them, or sit and watch a video, or go for a walk, or ask their advice, or just actually hear their voice. So when you lose someone who's permanently on your plate, you will actually really feel it. Spirit will often send someone in. For example, maybe you land up with a surrogate mum. They've done that for me, and a surrogate dad, because my mother died when I was only in my 30s. You might find that these people will provide something for you, or if you lost a sibling, they will send you someone who's like your sister or like a brother. So don't despair if people are lost to you for various ways, because if you have a look around, you will see that they've tried to put new people on your plate, and then you can be really grateful for that. The most important thing I found about learning about the plates was to understand how many people I was comfortable with on my plate, and not to be envious or jealous of people who had lots and lots and lots of friends. If you don't have as many in your inner circle, or if now you don't have as many as when you were younger in different situations, it's just the way it is for you now, and to make the most of it. The other parts of the plates that was interesting was the free will, that to see that they glide in and out and in and out, and that is fine, and that's okay. Because we need to learn our lessons, we need to do our work, and sometimes we do it with certain people, other times we do it with other people, and we're not to worry about that part. This soul plates was a new find for me, and when I first thought about it in my life, it started to make perfect sense why different people were comfortable with different amounts of people in their life. and why other people needed to have less people in their life or on their soul plate. It was like we were all spinning around on our little plates and going in and out, and I kind of liked that visual as well. I thought that was rather cool, that visual. Spirit usually try and provide us with what's best for us. That's how you'll find that the phone will ring, or you will be given space and the party's cancelled and then you don't have to go. Always read a really funny thing which said that the introvert is really excited when the big party is cancelled and they don't have to go. That was the sign for people who are introverted. The extrovert's probably going to be really disappointed about it. This week, have a think about your soul plates and who's often on them, and be also tolerant and giving if someone wants to come back in on the plate and you hadn't seen them for a while. Just give everyone a chance. So I'm sending you lots of love and light, and good luck with your soul plates.